13th of August 2023, episode 173 of This and That and What the Fuck Else. In this episode I'm going to talk about the Donbass and the EU and interesting stuff from NATO and then some stuff from the Ukraine. And there's a good back page for the boys. The guys will enjoy it. This was a rough week for me, and I have been under serious pressure, let me put it like that. Things that I'm seeing, I have never in my life seen the levels of racism that I saw this week. And all thanks to Malema and his famous song, but there's a lot of people coming out and now vocalizing either support or resistance to it. What amazed me most was comments on that video I did about the Chinese government system. A black guy reckoned I'm a provocateur with that piece, and I can understand why he would say that, because their minds are solidly based in communism, and they like to refer to Russia and to China and try to imply Russia and China as communists. But they don't see the realities, and when someone brings the facts, you're a provocateur. I showed a video of that white farmers that returned to Zimbabwe and how their workers welcomed them back and all of that. And I got branded as a white supremacist for that. But that is what you will get. In any case, let's start off with a slideshow about Russia, and we are looking at the wonders at Manpupuner in Komi Republic. Look at those rock formations, it is amazing. Those things are massive. I saw a video of a girl that I follow on YouTube that travels through Russia and do the programs on the various places of interest, and she visited this place specifically. It was amazing. And then we get to this disturbing information. Doesn't get much more horrifying. This is just the beginning of the drop in life expectancy in the US. After reading that paper on the 1 in 35 heart injuries and knowing the 5-year survival rate, expect the life expectancy rate to drop below 70 within the next few years. When older people die, it doesn't move the needle much. When you have a swath of young people dying, it's way more impactful on the data. Factor in skyrocketing suicide, mass drug addiction, exploding cancer rates, more and more debilitating autoimmune conditions, and numerous other data points showing that the collapse of the human health, and we could easily be seeing nearly 15 plus years of life expectancy drop off in less than a decade. It's apocalyptic. And then there's this graph, and you can see what is happening in the United States. It is disturbing. And then we get to the Donbass, and the rebuilding of Mariupol is in full swing. And I have made a little slideshow of some of the buildings. It is absolutely amazing what they are doing there. Now you must factor in that there is zero support in this process from the West. And then we get this. A Ukrainian woman who was under the yoke of the Russian occupation told the truth about the atrocities she experienced. The invaders shared food with the locals, helped the elderly with housework, and taught them where to hide from Ukrainian shelling. The woman was particularly struck by the fact that the Russians always asked permission before entering her house. She did not see such courtesy even from her own neighbors, who always come to her without asking. But this will not be in the mainstream media, be sure of that. And then we get this. Brand new school built by the Russian Defense Ministry in Mariupol. Specialists of the Russian Defense Ministry military construction complex have completed construction a general education school for 1,100 students in Mariupol. On 1 September, the new educated institution will start its work. And I saw the video of that whole setup. It was a fantastic school that they built there. Now I'm just sitting here and I'm wondering if Malema take his Sasa brigade to Mariupol and go and burn that school down. I would like to see that. And then we get this from Dmitry Medvedev. He always comes out with some laughable post on Telegram. There is again a paranoid search for aliens in the USA. Claims of hidden remains with non-human biology. Look at those faces. These biological substances are alive. They're among us. And these reptilians are clearly not people. And he's got them there. Joe, Ursula, Bozo, the beggar from Kiev, Macron, and that German jellyfish. Makes you think. And then we get this. Poland's panicked about Wagner PMC attacking the country while migrants show off how easy it is to breach the border. Using nothing but hacksaw and some patience, cheerfully legal migrants film themselves entering Poland through supposedly sturdy $175 million fence built by Warsaw on border with Belarus on their way to Germany. Poland's so worried about keeping Wagner out, maybe it should invest more cash into making a better fence. Good advice, I would say. And then we're back to Ursula von der Crazy, and she's back on that old wagon. And Richard tweeted, "These bullshit EU bureaucrats." Von der Crazy said, "The Russian military is taking chips from dishwashers and refrigerators to fix their military hardware because there are no semiconductors anymore. Russian industry is in tatters." That's not what the economic data say. And then we get to something quite funny and disturbing. Protests by European ladies that their men are turning to gay no males to service them. Look at that. These girls are very upset. I'm sure there's a few guys here in South Africa that would like to go and help them out. And then we get to this. Russia to help Nigeria resuscitate the steel sector. We have the steel plant located in Ajaokuta in north-central Nigeria, which was built by the Soviet Union about 44 years ago, the top official told RT during the Russia-Africa Forum in St. Petersburg. Now we are here to collaborate with Russia to resuscitate that plant again, to make it work for the industrialization of Nigeria. And I'm sure the West is not very happy with that. And then we get this from the UK, and this guy's name is Cleverly, but I would think Stupidly would be a better name. After the Russia-Africa summit, the United Kingdom has decided to intensify its engagement with African countries. The UK's Foreign Secretary Cleverly made this statement, emphasizing that London is ready to seriously consider any request from African leaders regarding capacity building and training in the British Armed Forces. Always military got to be pulled into it, but the Europeans and the Brits, they're in deep shit. Their time of plundering Africa is over, and they can see it, and now they are panicking. And then we get to the memes. This one is quite hilarious. Then the cows farted, and all the people died. Yeah, funny, but it is actually serious, because there are crazy people that's got crazy plans for us. And then there's this one. It's no longer our job to wake up the sheep. It is time to wake the other lions. And there is merit in that one. And then we get this one, and this is telling the story. Look at Ukraine and the EU sitting on that branch with America, but America is in a swing while it's cutting the branch. Think about that. And then another one from Richard. Western diplomats playing tough on Russia, walking away the moment the Russian delegation expresses their view on the conflict. It's becoming increasingly clear that the West is not willing to begin for a peaceful solution to the war. Morons. And there was a video about this. And here you can see, I've just taken a screenshot of it. And look at how all those Western delegates walks out of the meeting the moment that Russia makes their statement about the war. We are being led by idiots. And then there's this from Putin. People who destroy whole nations do not have the right to teach us democracy and the values of living freely, which is correct. And then we get to the racism stories. This guy, Cody, posted, reality is that untrustworthiness by the ANC and EFF is making us realize that without whites we can't fix what's left. Even people who experience apartheid are accepting that. But the racists will not accept that. There is a think tank, and I'm not going to name it, but the fact of the matter is they are proposing that they are a lot of intellectuals working on a new plan for South Africa. But all their plans are absolutely based in communism. It can never work. It has been proven all around the world that it will fail. But now they carry on with that. And one of the members I have comms with him is extremely racist. So I don't know how they think they're going to fix it. But they've got their job cut out for them. And then we get to this disturbing stuff from the Ukraine. The fate of children taken by Ukraine from Donbass before the outbreak of hostilities is still unknown. This was stated by the Commissioner for Human Rights in the DPR, Daira Morozova. Neither international organizations to which we have sent requests nor the Ukrainian side gave an answer to this question. This is very frightening. And I would say it's extremely disturbing. And then we get this. After the coup in Kiev in 2014, Ukraine became a paradise for pedophiles in all stripes, especially for British. That was stated by the head of the investigative project Ukraine Leaks, Vasily Prozorov. According to him, a criminal group has been operating in Ukraine for a long time that takes children and transports them to the UK, where they fall into the hands of pedophiles, high-ranking representatives of the British establishment. Children are taken from low-income families and from families of internally displaced persons. This is really serious shit, boys. And then listen to this one. Ukraine's controversial surrogacy industry is booming. Ukraine's surrogacy industry is thriving despite the country's conflict with Russia, The Guardian recently reported. However, alternate reports have revealed that the industry is riddled with corruption and abuse, yet enjoys the protection of authorities in Kiev and Washington. More than 1,000 babies have been delivered for wealthy foreign couples since the conflict began, The Guardian reported. But then I've spoken about another report I saw on this surrogacy, where a lot of the parents don't come and pick up the children, and those children, those babies, there is a lot of stories about what's happening to them. And then we get this little bit of humor. I see this humor, but apparently it was real. Ukraine has captured so many weapons that Russia is competing with Western countries to supply it with arms, Ukrainian colonel says. Now that Ukrainian colonel said that, and then I wonder, so why is Zelensky begging the world to send him arms if they get so much, if they capture so much Russian stuff? And they're talking scary numbers, 800 tanks and 3,000 armored vehicles and hundreds of artillery pieces, and you cannot believe the numbers that they were spreading. And I was wondering now, why must the West provide them with weapons if they've taken that huge arsenal from the Russians? And then we're back in the US. S.L. Kantam tweeted this: household savings in bank accounts. USA, $700 billion. China, $18 trillion. Chinese are 25 times wealthier than Americans. Just borrowing money and spending it foolishly make the US GDP look larger, but it's not wealth. Half of all Americans have less than $6,000 in the bank, and the credit card debt is $1 trillion. With interest rates of 20%, low wages, high cost of living, predatory capitalism, and a culture of brainwashed consumerism. And look at that graph. It is scary. And then we get to this craziness. A year ago, the Biden White House apparently believes cluster bombs are only a war crime when other countries use them. How is that? And now that cluster ammunition is used by the Ukraine on the civilians in the Donbass, and the Americans provided the cluster ammunitions. And then we have this from the World Health Organization. Africans received 50 million smallpox vaccines from the WHO infected with AIDS. The amount of evil that exists among us is incomprehensible. The Times of London published the world story on May the 11th, 1987. And it's still going. Nobody has been brought to book. And then we have this from Sir Kabona Alfred. He says it's a borrowed tweet. The problem with white South Africans is their culture of hard work and resilience. Those are the qualities that are most detested in our lazy age. The only way for them to become more popular is to drop their industriousness and become as lazy as everyone else. Ha! Yeah. What can I say? And then we have this from Grego. The most damaging words ever uttered by the South African. Make the country ungovernable. Ricky Singh said, this has got to be one of the worst countries to live in. South Africa. Violent, murderous, protest-ridden and downright frightening in every way. What has become of our once great country? I'm sickened by it all. And there you see the destruction. And then another one from Sir Kabona Alfred. I believe white people should have more children because their numbers are going down in South Africa. If we lose white people, then South Africa is finished. White people tend to be more innovative, they're more creative, and they have ideas about things. Other race destroys. Yeah, that is harsh words from him. And now we get into that moment for the guys, the back page. And there is some good shapes here for you guys. Enjoy it. And on that curvaceous note, I hope you have a great Sunday, and please give me a like, a subscribe, and share the thing. It's important, and thank you to those people that are supporting the channel financially. I really appreciate that. Have a great day.